Good afternoon, I'm Annie Larkin, the Associate Curator of Public Programs at the Amerind Museum, and welcome to Amerind Virtual Autumn Fest Salon and Art Sale with Rykelle Kemp. I would like to welcome Amerind's President and CEO, Dr. Eric Kaldal, who would like to say a few words.
Good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for joining us today for the second day of Amerind's Virtual Autumn Fest. In these extraordinary times, it is so good to be able to get together in whatever ways we can. I want to thank all of the artists who have participated this year. Your generosity in sharing your talent and your vision with all of us creates a bright light in our lives, and it is deeply appreciated. I want to thank our financial sponsors. Without their support, these free online programs would not be possible. I want to thank our two title sponsors, Sterling Investment Management and Arizona G&T Cooperatives. They have stood by Autumn Fest year after year, and this year was no exception. I want to thank our newest sponsor, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, for their generous festival grant. Thank you for helping Arizona's nonprofits through this difficult period. And I want to thank all of you joining us today. During this year, like so many businesses, Amerind had to close its doors temporarily. Thanks to artists, scholars, and online content, we were able to continue to fill our mission, connecting Indigenous history and art with a broader world. Without the support of our generous members and donors, we would not be able to offer the programs that we have. Thanks to each of you for your help in this difficult time. If you would like to join this generous Amerind community, but haven't yet had the chance, please visit Amerind's website for membership and donation information. No museum can do its work without a community of people like you. And an extra special thanks for Amerind's Associate Curator for Public Programs and Autumn Fest's Master of Ceremonies, Annie Larkin. She's been a true leader in making Amerind's online programming possible, and we could not have accomplished all this without her. Thank you for all your work. I'll turn this back over to Annie to introduce the incredibly talented Rykelle Kemp, who creates truly exceptional works of art. Thanks, Rykelle, for being with us today. Back to you, Annie.
Thank you, Eric. And thanks to everyone for joining us on our final program for Autumn Fest. And I'd like to let you know about some upcoming programming that we have in the month of November. On Saturday, November 7th at 11 a.m., we will have a free online gallery talk with master jeweler and metalsmith Dwayne McDyma. Then the following weekend, we will have a free online children's book reading with author Violet Duncan. To register or for more information, check the events section of the Amerind website or Facebook page. During the last several months, we have all been enduring a world altered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of the artists and musicians featured in Virtual Autumn Fest have been negatively impacted financially, as they have not had opportunities to sell their art or perform their music. We at Amerind ask that, if able, please support these talented people through a purchase of their works of art and music. Through your support, you can make a direct impact in the lives of artists and musicians. We hope that you will support Rykelle Kemp today by purchasing a work of her art. In addition to what she will be sharing with you during this program, more of her work can be found at her website, indigenouswomanmade.com. This information will also be posted in the comments section of our Facebook Live video feed, as well as in an email to all of our Zoom registrants. All right, so Rykelle Kemp's works of art are a representation of the knowledge she has attained of her Southwestern and Southeastern heritage, which she combines in each piece that she creates. She started her art career as a printmaker at the age of 12, learning under her father, renowned native painter and printmaker, Randy Kemp. She now works out of her home studio, where she produces one-of-a-kind mono silkscreen prints, mixed medium artworks, and jewelry. Rykelle started her own business, Ahlazua-Indigenous Woman Made, in 2018, which focuses on affordable jewelry collections, accessories, and graphic design. Amerind is so thankful to you, Rykelle, for sharing your time with us today, and as well as
thank you.
Beautiful works of art.
Thank you so much for having me, Annie, and thank you to the Amerind Museum as well for giving me this space to speak. So I just wanted to introduce myself, and I'm Rykelle Kemp, also known as Ahlazua-Indigenous Woman Made. I just also wanted to give thanks to the Acamil Otham people, where I'm doing this presentation from their homelands. So yeah, thank you so much. This is such a weird time to be in, and to be an artist and a visual artist. And yeah, so, oh my goodness, I think we need to start off with some music a little bit.
Okay.
And here's my dad over here. All right. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad, for doing that. It's so awesome that, I get to be here in Arizona, and I get to spend time with my family through this time and through this COVID pandemic. And it's pretty awesome that, all of my family members are artists in their own right. My dad's a flautist and a printer, printmaker and painter. And so I've kind of learned a lot of things under him as well. And I'm really thankful for him and him sharing his ideas and passions and, helping me along my way as well. So yeah, and speaking of which, so I kind of just want to, it's getting a lot hot here. I kind of just wanted to talk about, like how I started and, my journey through art and what that means to me, and all that entails as well. So I kind of want to just start out about talking about, let's see here, talking about the workshops that I actually started out with. I actually started out doing workshops with my dad and following along with him, and he took me along to a couple of workshops in Mesa with this Chico. It was called Chico Indio, but now it's called Chico. And they did a lot of printmaking classes and workshops, and he just kind of took me along, and I was always really interested in it. And finally, around 12 years old, I kind of, tried to, figure things out, and I would watch. I was really curious, and the smells of inks, and just the idea of creating something, and the process was a really awesome thing to watch as well, which is I'm really thankful for that time as well. So I started printmaking. That was probably how I kind of got into art making, is slowly learning that and kind of figuring out techniques and how to do that, and putting my own twist into things, and kind of realizing I had a plethora of like different things I can pull from because of my ancestry and my heritage and my culture. And I thought it was just such a cool thing to do, to use that in an artistic way and to create with that as well. So I ended up kind of starting off doing printmaking. So I think the one thing that we could do at home in our space was mono silkscreen printing, which was a really fun process. We've been doing it for so long, and me and my dad like to do workshops and teach people this as well. And so mono silkscreen printing is a really fast process. You use a screen and fluid water-based paints, so kind of like a really fluid acrylic. And so what you do is you paint directly onto the screen, and the screen is kind of what you use, what you think of when you think of t-shirts, how they make t-shirts. So they continuously pull those designs that are burned into those screens. But the screens that we're using are the screens with no images, nothing burned into it. So it's an open screen that we paint directly onto. With those fluid acrylic paints, So it's really fun because you do all of those different paints, all of those different colors all at one time. And the process takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And of course, we live in a dry area, so you have to kind of really watch it because those acrylic paints will dry into the screen and you won't get that crisp, nice image. So you have to pull it as soon as you're ready. You're just like, go, go, go. And it's just such a cool process. So I actually have some pictures of some of those pieces as well. And actually, let me go back to my video. This is actually a Mvskoke screen print right there. It was a larger size print that I had done. And that actually got an honorable mention with the Santa Fe Indian Art Market a couple of years ago. So I don't know if you can see it. And then also this is my workspace back here. Yeah, let's see. Stuff's kind of in the way, but yeah, so that's a cool piece. And all of that was done probably within 10 or 15 to 20 minutes, painted all directly onto the screen at one time. And then I pulled that print and then got that one piece. And it was really fun and really cool. And I love teaching that. So hopefully I'll be able to talk to my dad and we'll kind of figure out a way to set something like this up. And I think it would be really cool to share that with other people that are really interested in, something fun that, doesn't take a lot of equipment to do, because I think that's really accessible to a lot of people that want to create something and don't have that much money or don't have that much space. But it is really messy, so that's one thing. So going to workshops when I was little, that kind of, just gave me an idea. And also I, growing up with my dad, having shows and doing his own creative path of, going and doing art shows at the different museums like the Pueblo Grande and the Heard Museum and all of those opportunities. I saw that, I could do something like that myself. So yeah, it was pretty interesting growing up in a house where art was going on all the time. So of course, I had to be part of it. So I also, honed on my skills and learned and wanted to elaborate on, being a printmaker. And so I did a lot of workshops with Chico Indio, and they're based out of South Phoenix as well. So if you have some time to check that out, they have a lot of really cool exhibitions and local artists there. But I also wanted to just kind of talk about some friends that I've been working with as well, like Jake Metters from the Warbird Press, who is a really cool dude who influenced me and was a mentor and kind of took me on to kind of gave me the ability to trust in myself and my knowledge and know how to do prints myself. So that was really cool. And thanks, Jake, for that. And then also someone I met through Chico, through one of their workshops, was Brent Bond from Santo Press. And he really enjoyed, the different techniques that I was working with. I was doing a lot of, I was doing a lot of stencil work. And so that incorporating that within monotype prints, which is another, a little more complex process rather than the Mvskoke screen print. But he was doing a workshop at Chico, and he really enjoyed seeing the images that I was using and the techniques such as, using the hand cut stencils. And I have some pictures that I'll share as well with some of those pieces. But so he was a big influence in, taking the idea of printmaking and doing some lino cut prints. I've done them in the past a little bit. I've kind of dabbled, but never really took it on as, something I really wanted to perfect or something that I wanted to pursue. but I've always liked the idea of lino cut prints. They were super fun looking. And so he took me on into his studio in Scottsdale, which is called Santo Press. And he, encouraged me to make a design. And we did a three different color process. And excuse me. And so we worked together, and he mentored me with that as well. So I actually have a couple of those pieces on the website, and here's one of them right here, which is called, I forgot what it's called. I don't see a name on it, but it's on the website. All of the information for this piece, it's done in silver, black and white, and then silver, black, and like a neon red, which is really cool. Cool thing that we got to do together. So I really appreciate that as well. So yeah, so there's a few different things that on my website that you can purchase, and for my printmaking. But the thing that I wanted to talk about as well is that, from there, I knew that I wanted to create something else. And I think, going to art shows, I think this is something I never really kind of like not touched on, but just kind of figured out the reason why that I wanted to go in jewelry, even though, I mean, I love jewelry. I wear jewelry all the time. I'm an, avid collector of jewelry as well, and handmade. But I think I just, going to art shows and seeing all of the jewelry that was out there, I saw so much potential in creating something different. There's so much beautiful jewelry out there, but I just felt that, I wanted to create something, something with that, but maybe more of like a more modern idea behind it, taking, traditional ways of doing things and kind of meshing that and, creating my own style with that. So, but even before that, it was so funny because I was kind of reluctant when people would ask me when I was younger, when I was probably like 11 or 12 years old, people would, come by my dad's booth, and they would talk to me, and they would be super interested, and if I was following his path. And I always kind of felt like people were just thinking that I'm gonna, take on what he's doing and do the same thing, because I see that a lot. I see that a lot in families, that you kind of create the same things. But I always had the idea of, creating my own path, but also being creative at the same time. But I just didn't know what that looked like. And so initially, I actually went to school for fashion design, and then fashion design and merchandising. So I went to Phoenix College. I took some fashion classes there. And I realized that I didn't really like to do pattern making. And so I was like, oh my gosh, is this a big part of like doing fashion? Like, I'm terrible at making patterns. And so it's like kind of like changing my mind a little bit, but I knew I wanted to be somewhere, accessories or fashion, or, something that has to do with wearable art. And so I also took textile classes there as well. And that was a really cool thing, because that kind of combined that like printmaking idea into some of the ways that they were teaching textiles. And so I thought that was really cool. And I thought, okay, that's something I can, kind of look into. And so I kept on that path a little bit. And so I went to the Art Institutes International in Minneapolis, where I lived for about 3.5 years. So I learned the business side of all of this. And, I was really interested in that as well, because I also found that there was a need for people that kind of knew what they were doing in the business side of, Indigenous art. Like, I didn't see a lot of people, showing that business side and, doing different things like opening up their own stores or opening up their own galleries. And I always was interested in, we're such capable people, but, I wasn't seeing that being done. And so I think that was another reason why I wanted to learn the business side as well, because ever since I was little, I would draw in my sketchbook, that I would open up my own little business with paintings and art on one side, and then, different things made by other Indigenous people on the other side, and just create a space for Indigenous people, because even still, there really isn't that many places for us that we can feel like, we're appreciated by our own people because we're represented by our own people. So I think that's still really important, and that's still something I'm keeping in mind. But all right, let me take a break really quick. I need a drink here. Okay, so this is such a weird way to talk and discuss myself and what I do, because I'm such a people person, and doing shows is such a great experience and such a thing that I love to do. But, since COVID, you kind of have to figure out your own way of how to do this. And it's really weird staring at my computer, talking to whoever's watching. I don't even know, but it's such a weird thing. So it makes me a little nervous. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, such a weird thing. But anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. So I went to school for fashion, and then I took one basic metalsmithing class in probably 2015, because I was just like, I think that's probably where I want my passion to go, because I was a collector of jewelry, and I saw different things that I wanted to make within jewelry, and I was just like, I'm gonna try it out. I was talking to different artists about the direction and how to pursue that, which is another thing that I wanted to touch on, because I found that it was really difficult to kind of figure out a way to learn how to do this like in a traditional way, in a traditional sense. And there wasn't a lot of people willing to kind of take people on and do an apprenticeship. And so I was kind of discouraged by that. For a little while I was discouraged, and I was like, okay, maybe this is just not going to be something that I'm going to do, because it just, no one is willing to kind of, just show me the basics, not just, just show me the basics so I can take it from there. And so I actually just, took it into my own hands. I found a class downtown Phoenix. There's a little art school there. And so I decided to do some metalsmithing, and I it was probably, honestly, I think 4 classes once a week for, I think, like 5 to 6 hours each day. And so it was literally the basics of like how to not to be afraid of like a torch, and like how to not burn things down, and how to use the pickle, and be super safe, and how to hold things, and how to correctly do things like that. And so, which was like, that was completely what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for anything else. So I did that, and then after that, it was just like, it like opened the door. Like I was just like, there's so much I can do with this now. Like just this knowledge of knowing how to manipulate metal, and add different gems and stones, and like I was looking around and being like, I could make jewelry out of almost anything here. Like it was such like an endless opportunity, and it still is. Like I'm still learning and making stuff and figuring that out. But so I realized after taking that class that after I started, figuring out my own style, I realized that that was probably a blessing in disguise of not learning underneath someone else. And I say that because, when you learn from someone who has their own style, who's doing a specific style, you tend to make stuff that's actually kind of looks like theirs. And so I realized that, and I realized, you know what, like I am taking this and making it my own. Like I'm honestly can say that my style is not like anyone else's because I wasn't, learning those specific styles. Like I figured all of these different ways to make jewelry by myself. So I would look up online like YouTube videos and just different books and kind of just figured things out myself. And I think that's the funniest part about talking to someone at an art show or discussing how I do art and how I came to make the type of art that I do, my jewelry, because it's so different, is that they realize that no one taught me. Like I just figured this out by myself pretty much. And I love that. And I think that's such a cool and unique thing. And I think the basis for that was actually the idea of using all of my different tribes from the Southeast and the Southwest. Combining all of those elements together and creating something really unique. And so I use turquoise from the Southwest. Probably my favorite stones would be probably like the number 8 turquoise stone, which has a really lovely brown matrix and spider webbing. And then also probably like a Kingman bird's eye turquoise, which has like the kind of like the opposite, which is like a white webbing in there as well, which is beautiful. It looks kind of like a pool of water when you look at them. So there was so much different materials that I can pull from, and that was just one kind of material. So the other one that I wanted to incorporate into my jewelry was probably taking something from my Southeast. And so I did a lot of digging myself and kind of figuring things out and looking to my ancestors who are like the mountain builders and looking and seeing what they had been making. And I had found some carvings out of shell. And so that really inspired me a lot to look into using shell work within my jewelry. And so I combined that as well. And so I figured out how to do some cold connections, which means using sterling silver and applying that to shell and not using any heat or any other elements. I'm actually attaching sterling silver to the shell itself. And so I kind of figured that out myself with a lot of practice and a lot of broken shells and a lot of pieces that are broken and I had to restart. It was a great learning experience, and I'm so glad that I went down that road because I think it really it is a part of me for sure. So I think let's see. Let me look at my notes here. I'm just talking. So I just wanted to say that I started my business in 2017 after, doing metalsmithing for a couple of years there. I decided, just go for it to start my business. I knew I wanted to be, a full-time artist. And so you just have to kind of jump right in and, figure it out as you go. Ask people if you have any questions. figure out, watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to set up your own website. Look at all these different, especially now, like there's so many different, workshops that you can do to build your own websites and go from there. But it's just all at the on your fingertips, to do this. And so that's what I did. I took the plunge and I was like, okay, let's go ahead and do this. And so I turned my focus mainly on my jewelry business. So in 2017, I created Ahlazua-Indigenous Woman Made. And Ahlazua actually comes from my grandmother, who's Yuchi, and her sister, Awi? Aunt Awi. Yeah, so I grew up in the Southwest, so they would, my dad and my mom and the family back home in Oklahoma, they would, write letters to each other or, talk on the phone about this sort of thing. But, they wanted me to have a Yuchi name. And so they wrote to my dad and, gave me that Yuchi name. And we have it in this little cedar box, that little letter where she wrote out, my name and how to do the naming ceremony in Yuchi way. And so we did that when I was younger, and I've always loved the idea of using that somewhere. And I thought it was just a perfect match to use that and, to celebrate that and celebrate being Yuchi through that way. So that's where that name comes from. And I think Indigenous Woman Made kind of speaks for itself. I kind of wanted to just throw that in there because, starting out being a jeweler and going on like Instagram and all of these different platforms, I would see so many people that were making jewelry that were inspired by the Southwest and kind of using that to make their own jewelry, which is fine, but I wanted to set myself apart and kind of just put that in there and throw it like right at you, and just to let you know what you're getting and what you're buying is actually Indigenous Woman Made. So that's why I wanted to add that on there, and I think that's important because celebrating and purchasing and supporting Indigenous made is such an important thing, I think, because that's how we're able to eat and pay for things and be artists and kind of keep this going and evolve being an Indigenous artist and continuously show what that actually means to us and to show people what that means, because we're still here and we're still creating, and yeah, we have a lot to say. And so yeah, so I think, let's see what. Oh, so I also was doing a lot of really big shows with my printmaking. I was doing Santa Fe Indian Art Market, the Heard Museum, Pablo Grande, when I was printmaking. So I was actually in those bigger shows for that. And a couple of years ago, still being kind of new to jewelry making, that was like the big thing for me, is like, oh my gosh, am I ready? Like, am I going to apply to these different shows? Like, how are they going to react to my jewelry? Is it going to be up to the standards? Like, or, I was just so nervous about that. But the first time that I applied to the biggest one, which is Santa Fe Indian Art Market, I was immediately accepted for my jewelry. And I just thought that was such a cool thing because, I really, love the idea of what my jewelry contains and the idea of I'm all these different tribes and I'm putting them all together, and it's really unique. And I don't think there's anyone that makes anything like me. So that was such a cool thing. And yeah. And so let me see, where am I going next? Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to touch on, the materials I use, which is the turquoise, the shell, the mother of pearl that I use in my jewelry. There's a lot of pearls and mother of pearl that were traded in the Southeast, and the use of mussel shell as well is really important for us, and I wanted to incorporate that. And then the process of, I do a lot of, not as much as I want to, tufa casting. I do some tufa casting. I like to incorporate little details in there just for that. But so I do some sweat soldering as well. And there's a pendant that I've been making that has been getting the rounds and been getting a lot of attention. There you go. A lot of attention, which is the resist pendant. And it's a pendant that I saw out of sterling silver, and it's sweat soldered onto a sheet of silver and cut out and detailed. But the representation of the resist pendant is really important because it creates, I think, you get to talk about it when you're wearing it, because people are going to be like, what's this resist pendant about? Like, what's this fist and this, turquoise piece about? Like, so I just wanted to bring attention to, being in solidarity with, people of color and the things that are going on in the world right now. And even us as Indigenous people, we're constantly, going through things like the Nova Scotia thing that's going on right now with the Mi'kmaq people who are, trying to defend their fishing rights. So there's constantly things that are going on. And it's not just about, us, it's about whatever it represents to you. And so that was, and so a portion of that allows me to donate to other organizations. And those organizations I have listed on my website. So yeah, so just let me see, what are some that I've donated to? So some like the COVID help for the Navajo Nation. There was a couple like of those that I've donated to in the past couple of months. So yeah, it's a really important thing. I pick a organization, one or two organizations a month to donate to when those are purchased. And I like to get those out like every other week or every week or so. But I do have a video that I like to share really quickly. And it is a process video, and it'll allow me to take a break really quick and get my breath back together here. Let's see. And I just want to say thank you to my little brother Raven and my father Randy. My dad did the music on this video, and my brother put this video together for me. So I will go ahead and play this for you right now. And that's, here we go. Okay. Wow, what a cool video. Thanks, little brother. Yeah, that was the first time I saw that too. He worked late last night on that, and my dad did too. They just recorded that. So what a very cool thing. So I think let me see if there's anything else I wanted to add really quick before we did some Q&A. I did just want to mention that I did a couple of collabs with some people. Probably the most memorable collab was with my dad, where we did a spoken word and flute music track on his first album. And that was actually nominated for a Native American Music Award in 2008. And so we traveled to Niagara Falls, New York. So what a cool thing to be able to do something like that with your father. I was really honored, and hopefully we can do something like that in the future. And then also a more recent collab that I've done was with Canadian artist Catherine Blackburn. Catherine Blackburn's from the English River First Nation, and she's an amazing multi-talented artist. She's a painter, like sculptor, crazy, like amazing person too. So we connected on Instagram, and we talked, and we have a collab that we have been doing for the past almost year, I think. And so we have a website up as well where we have metal work and beadwork together, and it's such a beautiful thing. So that will be linked on my website as well, so you can click that and click over to our website, which is Ahlazua-Indigenous.com. So I look forward to working with her a lot more in the future, and hopefully some other artists in the future. I'm always open to working with other artists on different things. And, I'm just so thankful to be here and to be able to talk about, my journey, even though I'm like really nervous talking to you guys. And it's so funny because it's just a screen that I'm talking to, but I'm just like, I don't know what to say. But, after, kind of overcoming that a little bit, I just realized, I'm just super thankful that I get this opportunity to, share this space. And thank you, Amerind, for, having me here, and the museum having me and allowing me to speak on your platform as well. So I also did want to mention one last thing as well, is we do a lot of community work in our family, and me and my dad have been doing the, where is that? It's
21st Native American Christmas concert event.
It's going to be the 21st annual of this year. And so this year we're going to have it online, but it's a charity event that benefits Indigenous kids in the community, and we collect gifts and toys and clothing for them, and we give that out during the holidays. So that will be, there will be a link on my website as well for that, and he'll be performing. There'll be some concert involved, and a way to donate some toys as well through that toy drive. So yeah, and I've been helping the past couple of years with that to help promote other Indigenous artists as well. I'm a big advocate for that, and I love that, and I'm so proud to see our Indigenous people taking over a lot of really cool platforms like Instagram and Facebook, and just seeing like Indigenous made everywhere. And it's such a cool thing to see, because that just helps out our communities to thrive, and for us as people to thrive, and that we're still using our traditional methods and another way, another form, but still getting that out there and still using that, and that actually keeps our traditions going, and that helps us to keep that within ourselves as well. So I think that's a really cool thing. So if you guys ever have any questions about how to start a business, or need any insight, or have any questions that I can answer, you guys can always email me. My email address is on my website, which is indigenouswomanmade.com. I'm always available, even through Instagram, if you want to just message me and have any questions or just want to talk. I'm always available. I also just wanted to, invite you guys to that performance and, for the community event that we're having. And there's going to be a lot more information on my website for that as well. So also, you can check out Native Max magazine for this month's edition. They have me on a full page on page 15. So there's a little article in there for me and about my contributions to our community. And so that's a super fun thing as well. So I think we have a few more minutes. I don't know.
Annie has questions.
Yeah. Annie?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So,
Hi.
yeah, I don't know. Do we have any questions at all? Or should I share some pictures that I have for really quick?
Why don't you go ahead and share some of your photos? We do have questions, but I would love to see some of your work up close.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this this keynote that I have and kind of explain a little bit over top of that of like what you're looking at, and you'll be able to see some detail of my work as well. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay. So here's in the Chico workshop in South Phoenix, and there's Brett Bond. He's helping me print a monotype print. Yeah, which is a really fun process. And on the right side, you can see my table set up when I'm getting ready to mix. I mix all of my paints. I mix all those different colors and I get all those different hues. And this is such a fun process that I get to do. And it allows you to do so many different things. You can layer things. You can, do cutouts of some paperwork as well, some stencils, and you just ink that up, you put it on the plate, you run it through the press, and you get some awesome things. So this is probably one of my first loves in art is monotype prints. Other than the mono silk screen prints, I can just smell the picture right there. It's so nice, and the linseed oil, and it's an oil-based ink, so it definitely has a smell to it, and it definitely feels like a home kind of smell. So let me see what else I have. I have some pieces with some black mother of pearl, and these are all hand cut. I've got some silver detail that is actually embedded into the shell pieces there. And I have some onyx on the very bottom on the left, and then I have some prong set Herkimer diamonds on the right. And so I like to use a lot of different types of gems, not just, those that are traditional to, my tribes, but also, just anything that's really beautiful. And the other great thing about working with mother of pearl is how beautiful it is in itself. Like the black mother of pearl, you get that in the sun and it's so beautiful and gorgeous, and it has like a really dark, like rainbow effect to it, and it's so pretty. And then here's some mother of pearl that's hand cut, and a little play with light that I like to do, especially with translucent stones like this, which is some moss agate, and it just nature is so beautiful in itself. You really don't have to do much to it, but it's awesome. Let's see. And another piece with a black mother of pearl with a little bit of sterling silver set into the shell. And then I have some horsehair tassels at the very bottom. And I was using horsehair a lot because it kind of reminds me of our relationship with our animals and how important animals are to our cultures as well. So that was another good example of materials that I use as well. So these are some of these pieces were done in the past and they have since sold, but I'm definitely open to doing any either recreations or anything like that. So if you see something you like, go ahead and message me and we can possibly set something up. I'm taking a few custom orders for this holiday season, only a handful. So if you like something, let me know. And here's an example of some just freshly cut mother of pearl on the left, and then something that I've created with that as well on the right, which has a little bit of stamp work, some pearls and some scalloped edge shell there. Here's what inspired me for some of my shell pieces. You can definitely tell that on the right hand side, kind of the sun design was used in that scalloped edge there. And I use that hand motif on the left, which is a really cool thing that I've, started to try to learn. And I want to travel more to visit all these different sites and all these different mounds, to just kind of reconnect with some of these pieces. And just seeing some of these pieces in person is definitely like, you feel a connection to it. There's something there. It means something to you. You can feel how important they are. And so I want to do a lot of traveling after this COVID is over. Connect with that side of my family a lot more as well. And so I can use that more in my jewelry as well. So here's a few pieces that I've made with etched mother of pearl. And this is a technique that I've come up with recently, because I've looked and seen these different techniques that were used in the shell carvings, and I realized that there was a lot of areas where it seemed like they were etched into the shell. And so I researched it and looked it up, and yes, they were etching into the shells, and they were actually creating this sort of dark paste that they would use. It's kind of like ash, and they would kind of mix that together and they would rub that into what they had etched. And so it created this really nice contrast on the mother of pearl, because you get the mother of pearl in the background there. And it has that nice shimmer and like iridescent look to it. And the contrast with that was just so nice. I wanted to figure out how to do that. And these are, some of the pieces that I've created with that in mind. And then here are some pieces that are available on my website right now. These are the leader pendants, and these are just something fun and affordable. And, it's a mother of pearl. I didn't carve these, unfortunately. I can't do that much detail work, but I found these from a supplier, and I thought they were just so cool and so on point. So those are available, and those are made to order. The one on the left is a new addition. I just added that last week to my shop, and that's a made to order piece as well. And that comes from the hand motif that you saw in the previous slide of the mound builders. And so I was so fascinated when I saw, all these different images, and I wanted to incorporate that into my work. And so that's my interpretation of the mound builder hand. And it has a white sapphire, a 3 millimeter white sapphire set in the center there as well. So it's really pretty, sparkly, polished, and hammered look as well. And that's available on my website as a made to order. And on the right is a little bit more of the etched mother of pearl, with some pearls and some semi-precious stones as well. And that's on a hoop earring, and just doing something a little different, but adding a lot of different textures and different colors. And, asymmetry is such a really cool thing that I love to use in some of my pieces as well. And this is a piece that was commissioned less than a year ago, from a lady here in town, and it was a part of her creation story from her tribe. And I thought it was such a cool idea, and that she allowed me to have a creative, process and figure it out myself. She kind of, sketched a little bit about what she kind of wanted it to look like, but then I just took it off from there. And I wish I kept that piece, because that is an awesome piece. And I would love to create some more pieces like that. It's just so time consuming, but it's so worth it. There's a lot of textures in there, a lot of layering of metals and using that black mother of pearl in the background as like a night sky, which is a really cool thing. So, and then here's another, some rings that are available on my websites right now as well that are part of the leader collection. And then here's some other pieces with some hand cut black mother of pearl, some different setting designs, some prong sets, some hammered settings and textures. And I just love the way that the sun, creates what the sun does to the mother of pearl, and it's just so beautiful. So those are sold, but yeah, it's just, I wanted to share some of that. And here's some other pieces that I've done. I'm not sure if any of those are available right now, but these are just some pictures of, different textures and details that I have worked with. And there's some tufa casting pieces, some hammered looks, some etched mother of pearl and different elements in there. And then number 8, and then there's there's a seed pearl set in the number 8 turquoise on the right-hand side as well, which is a really neat design. And some more mound builder inspired designs with a tufa cast star set in the middle there. Sorry about that. Yeah, so let's see. Here's some other recent pieces, some resist pendants. Yeah, and some more leader pendants on the bottom there. And then I just wanted to thank my family. My little brother on the left, who's not so little anymore. He's a lot taller than all of us. But yeah, he inspires me daily in the way that he started to create in his own life and the path that he's taken. And he was just at the San Francisco Art Institute for the past couple of years and came back home because of COVID. But I'm just so super proud of him and what he's doing in the arts as well, which is technology, tech. It's just such a cool and different thing in different way. And he's, building his own way into that as well. So it's so neat. I'm so excited to see what he comes up with as well. So, and then my father in the middle, and then my mother, the matriarch of the family, and then me. And then of course I have to thank my dog, Ginsberg, because he is my support system in the studio. So, all right, thank you so much. I think that will conclude my little presentation there. All right.
That was great. I know we all enjoyed
a horse there.
Okay, we do have time for a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Do you think you will ever delve back into clothing or textiles at all?
Yeah, you know what? That's such a great idea, and ever since I was, had that in mind and had that idea of going to school for that, I have so many sketches that of different clothing designs and different elements that I want to bring. And so, I have been in talks with my dad, and we were talking about doing a collaboration as well about printing on some handkerchiefs and, doing some textile designs like that. I think that's what it will come right now. Some textile work and maybe some t-shirt designs, but not really like a full garment kind of look as of yet, but who knows, maybe down the line I'll just pick it back up and I'll figure, how to do what I'm thinking in my mind. So I hope so.
And how long did it take you to make, how long does it take you rather to make a resist pendant?
That was actually filmed last night. I made that piece last night for this presentation because I did want to show you guys, the process and what it takes into making those. It takes, if I have quite a few that I want to make, I'll take sections and I'll do make the pendant up to a point each day, and I'll kind of move on with that. But altogether, if I sat down and made one pendant, probably about an hour and a half at the fast rate. But, you know, I take breaks and I, you know, change the music, or I get up and stretch, or, you know, or I'm also always working on something else at the same time. Like I can't not be working on multiple things. Like my workspace is always full of half-made things, which is fun for me because I'm like, oh, I pick that up and then I start working on that while that's in the pickle, getting ready for the next thing to go on it, or for me to solder something else on it.
And besides your father, of course, who are your other Native artist role models?
Ooh, role models. I mean, there's so many amazing artists, especially right now. There's so many great artists that are coming out with such modern takes on different designs and their own culture and their own tribes, and, you know, doing a modern take on that. And I think it's just, you know, I'm in awe of all of the artists right now that are on Instagram, that I meet at, you know, the Santa Fe Indian Art Market. And I'm really bad with names, so I don't know if I can even like pick one out, but I really am. You know, I try to take some time away from my booth every single time that I have a major art show, just to connect with people, just to see what's going on, and how everyone's creating new things. And that's always so inspiring to me. Just the idea that people are stepping outside of the box and creating something completely different, you know, I think is you know, I think you could probably go to my Instagram page and see who I follow, and you'll see a lot of great Indigenous artists that have all inspired me in one way or another. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another question from Karen. She asks, will your jewelry be available at the Amerind Museum gift shop? You know, I'm not sure if we carry your jewelry or not, or if
I
you
don't know, Annie. No, I don't have anything right now with you guys, but I'm definitely open to, you know, wholesale and just getting my work wherever I can. So yeah, possibly in the future, hopefully, maybe.
Fantastic. And our last question is, given the short amount of time a mono silkscreen print takes, how many works can you how many works can you produce in a given day?
Well, yeah. So I always like to really plan those days out, because when you're doing a mono silkscreen print, you want to have like a whole day set aside for it, because it definitely takes like a little bit of a setup. And you want to get all these paints like all next to you and all these different colors next to you. And so when you're doing this process, you do like when I do it, I start with a couple of prints first, and I'm just like, okay, I'm warming up, like just getting stuff on the paper and pulling those prints and getting them up. So I'll do a couple, maybe 2 or 3 of them until I find my rhythm and, you know, get those good tunes going, and, you know, feeling good about what I'm creating and remembering all these different ideas I wanted to get out and wanted to try. And so me and my dad are like crazy when we get into the studio. Like we're just like zip, zip. Like we'll do one after another. Like it's so fun. We'll tag team it. Like we'll be like, okay, you're doing a print. Okay, I'm after you. I'll do 2 after you. Or, you know, we just get so pumped, and we're so excited to create. And it's such a rewarding thing because it's so fast. Like you see what it is so fast. Like you pull that print, you pull it out, and you look at it, and that's the finished product. So I think just that like gets you excited to do more. And so like it's hard to stop. Like at the end of the night, we're just like, no, I think I got like 5 more prints in me. Can you cut some more paper for me while I set up? And, you know, so I don't know. I think my dad holds the record still for how many prints he's done in one night, which is 14.
Let's see, 11 by 14.
And they're 11 by 14 that we work with. So, and it's on Stonehenge printing paper. So it's a really nice thick paper that we work with. So we probably about 8 to 14 pieces in one night, and you know, we could go up. Those are probably like the good prints. Like we'll have different prints that we try something crazy with and it doesn't kind of work out, so we're just like, yeah, we'll maybe work on that for something else. But you know, 14, 15 good prints a night, and yeah, I think yeah.
Marketable pieces, yeah.
Yeah, ones that we take to markets and stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Well, he's impressive that he gets that done. I think I probably get eight or I'd say 8 to 10 of them a night, which is still really good.
Yeah, still impressive.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Rykelle. We really appreciate
Thank you.
sharing your artwork with our audience and your pieces of jewelry, which I personally just love.
Oh, you're so cool.
And we encourage everyone in our audience to visit Rykelle Kemp's website, indigenouswomanmade.com, and purchase an extraordinary piece of her art. And thanks also to your dad for the music.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get back to making some more art for you guys to share with.
Excellent. Again, thanks to everyone, and we hope to see you for our next program on November 7th, our online gallery talk with Dwayne McTima. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Rykelle. Bye.
Thank you.